So what are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing? Why not?
I'm trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their associated organizations or Lifestyle Radio.
I blame it on industry. I blame it on my own hypocrisy. It's education and politicians. No one's willing to step up and speak.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pace Radio Show. We are live, and we are here at lifestyleradio.ca. I'm your host, Al Graham. Tonight, I am joined by my joint host, Northern Ontario, Kim Cooper. And our guest tonight is a person who helps and teaches patients about cannabis-infused creams to body butters, plus so much more. But before we have our guest come in, we're going to have a little talk with Kim. Hi, Kim.
Good evening, Al. Good evening, everybody out there in Radio Land listening to us. How is everybody doing tonight?
Well, hey, I'm here. Health-wise, I could use some new parts, but I'm here.
Well, we agree on that, Al. That's for sure. As of many of us in the same boat, I think we could all use a good part exchange at this point.
Yes, that's right. New center tube would do me just fine. So, you getting any snow out there yet?
No, we're clear and dry skies these days. Loving Northern Ontario winter so far for the end of 2016. Not a drop to be had. We've had a few sessions in the morning where we've had some light dustings, but always gone by noon.
Right. Well, hey, we've only had one, but they're calling for 15 centimeters in the next week, so see what happens.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the forecasts, and it may look like that you guys just might get more than we do this year.
Yeah, that's just the way those jet streams go, eh?
Yep.
Yeah. Talking about the way things go, we got free prizes that we give away every week on the show. These include Treating Yourself, past issues of Treating Yourself magazine, DVDs, Ivan Art, posters. Why not? Sort of shows in our country that has pollution and smog, and then below it has a country that's run with hemp fuels and everything all nice and green.
Yes, wonderful package that has been given away. I actually had the pleasure of seeing one of them. One of the listeners from my area in Smooth Rock Falls was one winner of one of these packages, and I got a chance to see it.
Good. That's nice that she brought it down to show you. Our last winner, they were from Quebec, and he says that he listens to the show all the time, really enjoys it, and that he never wins anything. So I thought this was great.
Yeah, awesome initiative, and I'm glad that we're able to give a piece of history about the cannabis history to some of our loyal listeners out there.
Yeah, I'm going to I'm going to start throwing in occasionally some Pace Radio Show coffee mugs. Got them from CC Nexus, so we're going to throw them into some of the packages as well.
Awesome. Love to promote our show everywhere we can. And I'm using my Pace mug right now.
There you go. Mine's sitting here right beside me. Okay, in our news item, I just saw this today. I think it just came out. It's about it's on CBC. It's about a lady from Halifax. She just started using cannabis for medicinal purposes, and within 2 weeks, she started to get sick. Yeah,
I've been reading about this. Quite the name for it. Cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome is what it's called, and we've been extremely recently informed that this has been an ailment or a condition that has been known by some physicians for as long as since the 60s.
It says here it includes bouts of nausea, vomiting, and gastrointestinal discomfort.
Yeah, so people are excuse me, they're getting almost, I guess, an overdose of cannabinoids in their system, and their systems are shutting down and rejecting them. And it's causing some real severe issues in people. I have never heard of it before, but apparently it's becoming more prominent now with concentrates on the market.
Yeah, weight loss, dehydration, vomiting up blood. They say it's very real, and it's something that can happen to people. It's why don't we bring in our guest tonight and see if she can further update us on this. She is trained in natural medicines and stuff. So let's ask her. What do you think?
Yeah,
all right,
perfect.
Okay, so let's introduce our guest, who I said helps patients with infused creams and butters and everything in between. We'd like to welcome Charlene Freedom to the Pace Radio Show. Hello, Charlene.
Hi there. How you doing?
Good. And yourself?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for inviting me to be on the show.
Hey, we really appreciate you coming on here and spending some time and talking to our listeners. It's something that I'm sure everybody will enjoy.
Great,
you just heard us talking briefly there about the news and this lady in Halifax. Before the show, we had a quick gab about this. Can you explain a little more? I'm sure there's a lot of people who've never heard of this.
Well, we haven't, that's for sure. So, I mean, we can't be the only two.
No, it's something that it seems to be hitting the mainstream media a lot more. I found out about it last year because I actually have a friend of mine who started to show symptoms of it. And he ended up actually quitting cannabis, and that seemed to relieve it. And but there was different symptoms that I saw him experiencing. Nosebleeds was one of them. Kept complaining about constant nausea. Abdominal cramping was another one. And then I started to see a couple of different articles on the internet about how there was this rise in emergency room reports coming from the States about how cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome was like really, kind of becoming more prominent. And so I sort of did a little bit of research into it. And one of the things that's sort of traditional about it is that it tends to happen to people that are daily smokers that have been using cannabis for a minimum of 10 years. And as I said, it's been something that there have been reports of it going back as far as the 60s. And so the doctors do know that there is an actual toxicity that comes from chronic daily use. They don't know why it happens to some people and it doesn't happen to others. But it's generally been, they may come across one or two reports in a year in an emergency room, but now they're seeing, 1 to 2 a week or anywhere up to 4 or 5 a month. And so it's kind of interesting that now CBC has also just posted, and there's a woman in Halifax reporting. I also know 2 other people that have had it as well, and the same thing, that had to quit using cannabis. And one man actually did end up reintroducing it into the system, but it was like really, really, really slowly, and he took a break for I think about 3 months. But from what I've read about it, it seems that for a lot of people, the only cure is just to quit completely.
Amazing.
Do you think a person could go to a CBD strain, something that was heavier in CBD versus something that was heavy in THC?
I honestly can't answer that. I can't say that it's definitely THC is definitely CBD. The doctors don't seem to know either. They don't seem to know what causes the toxicity other than long-term daily use. But why the body suddenly becomes toxic, they don't know.
Wow. Really?
So right now with the reports that have been coming out of the States, they're noticing like this huge rise of it, and that's the thing, is they're linking it to the high THC concentrates. A lot of these people that, and the other thing is they've noticed is that, it's not a traditional minimum of a decade of use or more. It's, people using it for a very short period of time, a year or 2 years, or like this woman.
Sorry, no, I was just
like this woman in Nova Scotia, like it was 2 weeks that she was using it, and she started to show symptoms.
Yeah, 2 weeks. Like that's nothing. Like how could you become toxic with cannabinoids in 2 weeks? I don't understand that if it's always been associated with chronic or, like you say, chronic or daily use.
I don't know. I think it's just possible that for some people they just can't tolerate cannabis, and that's why they become toxic really quickly. I'm sure you've heard over the years, different people say, I can't smoke weed, it makes me sick.
Yeah.
Or I smoked it, I ended up throwing up, I don't want to touch it anymore. So it's possible that there's some people's makeups, they're just not suited well for cannabis, but they don't necessarily realize that it's actually linked to that.
Do you think that alternative stuff, such as we're going to talk about tonight, when we get the actual interview about you started, whether people can use alternatives?
Yeah, would you still get the same amount of cannabinoids, and would you become toxic, do you think, if you were using, say, a topical cream?
No, I can't see that, especially from working with topicals for the last couple of years. You'd have to maybe lay in a swimming pool full of cannabis-infused oil, and I think that it would be more the vapor that would get to you than the actual absorption through the skin, to be honest.
Right.
I can't see it from a topical perspective, no.
Any reports on specific strains?
No, I haven't seen that. Like I said, it's just starting to become more prominent in the news now. Okay. So I've only seen a few different articles on it over the last year.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting.
I wonder if anybody's studying it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would imagine down in the States, maybe down in Colorado, because I know it's in Colorado. I think that's one of the places that they've seen the highest rise of emergency room reports.
Yeah. Well, that'd be an interesting tidbit to find out. So anybody that does tune into the show, if you have any information on this, or if you're in the U.S. even, and you have any information on studies that anybody's doing currently on this issue, get in touch with the station, please.
Yeah, we'd love to have them on the show in order to find out more about this.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, Kim and Charlene, we're going to switch gears, and I'm going to hand the reins over to Kim to get things started so we can talk about you, Charlene, and all the wonderful stuff that you're doing.
That sounds great. Thanks, Al. It was a great little discussion for the pre-show there. Charlene, you're known as Charlene Freedom. You're a Certified Natural Health Practitioner, and you currently you do consultations for people, you offer workshops, teach people how to make medications and lotions and potions and creams and wonderful medications that we can use in all various forms. You've been an advocate for the MMAR. You have worked with MMPR patients as well, doctors and clinics. So much to go on and on and on with you about. My goodness, Charlene, you are in this up to your neck, aren't you?
Thank you. Hello?
What a wonderful advocate you've been, and educator to so many people. I wanted to start off by getting people to get to know you and maybe give us a bit of your backstory. How did you get involved in what you do today?
Well, it's a bit of a story. I have a long-term relationship with chronic pain, going back to when I was 12, and I had my first surgery when I was 12 years old, and then when I was in my 20s, I had 7 abdominal surgeries in 6 years, and I gave birth to 2 children, and became really, really, really seriously addicted to opiates. I was on antidepressants, sleeping pills, and just different medications, and my addiction just went completely out of control by my late 20s. And the day came that I realized I had to quit. I had to get off of everything, and the withdrawals from opiates are absolutely brutal, as I'm sure you've heard, I'm sure you've read about over the years. And that's really when I started using cannabis medicinally. It was the one thing that helped me. I would get up in the morning and I'd be so sick. I can't even describe it, how sick I was. And I'd get up and I'd smoke half a joint, and I'd be able to get up, take care of my children, get them to school, function, do what I needed to do, and get into my day and manage my withdrawal symptoms. And one medication I was on for almost 10 years, and it was about a year and a half of weaning down. So I was in like a state of chronic withdrawals for about 18 months. And it was really, really, really difficult. And that's when I found that cannabis really, really, really helped me. However, because of my addiction history, I never really thought anybody would ever prescribe me cannabis. And so I used it without anybody really knowing. And eventually the day came that I managed to get off all of the medications I was on. And from that point forward, I knew that I needed to find a different way to manage my health issues, to deal with things like long-term chronic pain, anxiety, depression, seasonal affective disorder, were some of the different things that I was dealing with. And now going, oh, okay, well, all these drugs that the doctors gave me, they don't work. And so I needed to find another way. And so that's when I went back to school. I went to the Institute of Aromatherapy from 2002 to 2005. And I consider that actually to be a huge part of my recovery. I was going in and getting massages and reflexology and smelling all these amazing essential oils and learning how to work with them for all kinds of different conditions. And it was really, really, really helpful. And it was really interesting because while I was in school, you had to do different case studies on patients. And I actually had a medical marijuana patient who wanted me to use infused oil in massages. And I wanted to do a study on it, basically. And I went to my teacher, and she was like, absolutely not. It's totally illegal. Regardless of whether or not this patient is legal, you can't do that. And so I just pretty much promptly forgot all about it. I graduated from school, and I went into practice doing massage and reflexology full-time, and did really well with it. And then from there, I got into drumming and started a community drum circle called Fire Dance Drum Circle. And I ended up running the festival for 5 years as well, called Fire Dance Drum Festival. And so drumming really kind of took over my life. And I did performing. I did a lot of different things with drumming over the years. And finally, when in 2012, one night after I had just started up my drum circle, the bar that I was hosting it at didn't have any tea, so I decided to go for a walk across the street to the store, and I was hit by a car walking across the street, and it was a hit and run, and I ended up in the hospital. I had a broken collarbone and a broken knee, and I couldn't walk. I couldn't do anything. Oh. And it was a pretty severe injuries from that accident. And so here I was, I was back on, I was on morphine, and going, okay, well, if there's ever going to be a time I'm going to apply for a medical cannabis prescription, it's now, because I don't have any options for when I come out of this accident for long-term pain management. And so that's kind of how I came to, becoming part of the medical cannabis program, and sort of my journey to how I got there. And because of my addiction history, it took a really long time. I was referred from doctor to doctor to doctor because nobody wanted to touch me, until finally I got connected with my current medical marijuana doctor. And he's actually a chronic pain, addiction, and mental health specialist. So, he's actually been a really amazing doctor. I've had a great relationship with him. And he's been really supportive. So about 4 months after I got my prescription, I actually re-injured my knee, and this is about 2 years after my accident. And it was a pretty severe re-injury, and I was in so much pain. And at that point, like, smoking cannabis just wasn't cutting it. And so it's kind of funny because a friend of mine had gone to the Champs Marijuana Expo, and he brought me back a pamphlet, and it was from Simcoe Holistic Health, and it was about all the different ways that you could use cannabis. And I saw topical cream, And I kind of looked at it, my topical cream, like, I wonder if this works, number one, and I wonder if it's legal now. So I ended up calling the owner, which is Justin Whitehall, and talking to him about it. Told him about how I'd been making creams at that point. This was, 12 years after I had started in school. And anyways, so he told me, well, if you know how to make creams and you have a prescription, then by all means, like, go ahead and make it. Yeah. And at the time that this happened, I mean, I couldn't walk 5 steps across the room. I was in so much pain. It was unbelievable. And so I just decided, okay, you know what, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to take some of my medicine and I'm going to turn it into an infused oil and make cream the way that I know how to make cream and see if it works. And I was amazed because the first time I put it on, I watched the swelling in my knee go down in about 45 minutes. And my pain level went from like a 9 down to a 2 in about 5 minutes. And it just blew me away. And from there, I ended up going in and showing this cream that I made to my doctor. And then he started asking me questions, and he was like, "Oh, like you're actually educated in this, and you have to do like diplomas, and you actually know what you're doing." And I was like, "Yeah, I do." And so he was able to recognize that I knew what I was talking about. And he asked me at that point if I'd be interested in actually teaching patients.
I imagine you did shock him, like Kim said. Yeah.
And you shocked him. I mean, you shocked him because you were educated. You presented yourself in a professional manner. You were educated. You were speaking about cannabis. You weren't a hippie sitting in the chair.
Yeah, like he was, like really like, wow, this is amazing. And like I said, really supportive. And it was originally his idea, like, of asking me, like, would you be willing to teach patients this? Because there's nothing like this available. And that's where I was like, yeah, I've been researching it. Like, there's not a lot of information. And a lot of what I have found is like not necessarily great information and a lot of misinformation as well. So that's kind of where the seed kind of got planted.
Charlene, I'm going to jump in here. I'm going to cut you off there. When we get back from our commercial break, you can tell us all about your creams and stuff.
Yeah, we'll pick it right back up after the next commercial.
Right. All righty. Okay. Tonight our bumper music is by the Killing Time Band, and their song, we're talking about hippies, is Hippie Girl. Then after the break, Kim and I will continue our talk with our guest, Charlene Freedom. This is the Pace Radio Show here at lifestyleradio.ca.
Hang up and try again.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
Canada, the time to act is now. These days, your customers are seeking variety. Increase your earning potential by expanding your inventory with CC Nexus, Canada's largest cannabis seed wholesaler. CC Nexus stocks over 60 reputable breeders, including Canuck seeds, with a wealth of autoflower, regular, feminized, and CBD strains. All first-time customers will receive a free pack of Canuck seeds, plus a mug, t-shirt, and additional promotional materials. Add strains and increase your profit with CC Nexus, your Canadian-owned and operated wholesaler of cannabis seeds. Discreet, worldwide stealth shipping from Canada, supporting you locally. Call today, 1-844-843-7995, 1-844-843-7995, or visit us at ccnexus.global.
The following is a public service announcement from the Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners Society. The Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners Society is a non-profit organization dedicated to ensuring improved access to therapeutic cannabis and cannabis byproducts in Canada. With a federal government that has committed to legalizing cannabis, We feel it is our duty to ensure that the medicinal use of cannabis doesn't get lost in the process and that there are clear distinctions made between the medicinal and recreational use of cannabis. It is our mission to ensure that government regulation doesn't get in the way of a sick, disabled, or terminally ill person's right to use or produce this amazing natural health product. If you would like to get involved, you can contact us on the internet, www.canadiantherapeuticCannabisPartners.com, on Facebook, CTCP Society, or search Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners.
This is Al Graham of the Pace Radio Show. Are you keeping pace, as in keeping people advocating cannabis education? If you're not, and you're a cannabis consumer, then why not? Others are working hard every day to help educate people about cannabis so you can enjoy your daily 420. Get involved and speak out. Be loud and proud so that you can keep pace. Tune into the Pace Radio Show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to hear about people advocating cannabis education here on lifestyleradio.ca.
Growing your own vegetables, flowers, or even medicinal plants can be a challenge without the right equipment and proper know-how. At BMA Hydroponics, not only are they your urban horticultural experts and suppliers, but their staff holds the customer's needs paramount to making a sale. Family-owned with decades of experience and knowledge, they offer free advice in person, by phone, or email. BMA Hydroponics wants to ensure you have the advice you need, which is why you'll find tips and tricks on different ways to grow, like wick, ebb and flow, drip, or aeroponic system, as well as other helpful links at bmahydroponics.com. If you can't find what you're looking for, just let them know, and they'll do everything they can to get what you're looking for. At BMA Hydroponics, each staff member also possesses a federal exemptee MMAR license, making their strong suit empathy, experience, and dedication to their customers. Because when you know how to grow, you'll have results that make you proud. BMA Hydroponics in Belleville, Ontario. Visit bmahydroponics.com.
BMA offers cannabinoid testing, so if you want to prove you've got good medicine, head to BMA Hydroponics and prove it.
I jumped in the van with my friends and we drove over 3 hours. I crossed some borders, man, to get down in those mountains. Picked up some girls on the side of the road. Said, baby, got extra tickets. Would you come with us to that show? So we was funking out, just a dancing and grooving. Drinking beers, smoking weed, just moving and moving and moving. Band takes the stage, they started ripping my favorite song. They said,
hello and welcome back. You're listening to the Pace Radio Show. We are live here at lifestyleradio.ca. Or you can catch us at www.420radio.ca, as well as over at the Pace Radio Show website at pace-online.ca. It's good to know we're all in Canada. Talking about live shows, I'd like to remind everyone that the 420 Road shows, these happen when we join up forces with the 420 Radio Show, as we take things on the road. We've broadcasted live from the Toronto Global Marijuana March, the Left Expo, Cannabis Day in Peterborough. Just recently, we're at Toronto's Karma Cup.
Northern Ontario Hemp Fest?
Yes, that's right. Hemp Fest as well. So if you liked these type of events and you missed out on going to them, you can have the experience of being there just by listening to our live broadcast. And they're available at lifestyleradio.ca as well as at www.420radio. Well, Kim, we're joined tonight by our guest, Charlene Freedom, who I'll call a cannabis infusion expert, but is a certified natural health practitioner. It's been great already. She's filled us in on some new things we've learned tonight, as well as she's talking a lot about her backstory. And we've noticed she's like a lot of patients where their own experience is what drives them to do what they do.
Yep, that's right. Patients helping patients, and invention out of need. Mother necessity is the biggest inventor of them all, right?
That's right. That's right. Exactly. And so impressed with things that we got to share it with everybody, whether we know them or not.
Yes,
and
we've got a lot to cover, that's for sure.
We sure do. Okay, I'm going to pass things back over to you, Kim, and I'll just, jump in as we go along.
As usual, I look forward to it. Charlene, welcome back, and welcome back everybody to the show. I hope you had a little break, enjoyed partake in some beverages or some smokables while we were on break. When we went to break, Charlene, you gave us a full history on your backstory there. And my goodness, my dear, you have been through quite a bit. And what you have done with what you've gone through, you've educated yourself to the point where you're now able to educate others, empowering others to do the same. Amazing effort. You're striving right now, and your dedication is a lot in infused topicals. Want to talk to you some more about that? How'd you get started? You got started with that way back when, and then reintroduced after your injury.
Yes.
How's it going? How did you come up with your recipe? Was it trial and error?
Yeah, absolutely. It was trial and error. And I mean, I know a lot about essential oils and what oils are good to use for dealing with different types of pain conditions. So I just basically, I designed this blend for what I wanted in my cream for dealing with my pain. I also designed it, with putting in some like orange and lemon oils, because for me personally, and I know this is something that happens for a lot of patients, is when you're dealing with chronic pain or acute pain, you're also dealing with being depressed. You're also dealing with anxiety. You're dealing with stress as well. So I wanted something that was going to sort of cover all the bases, help me to deal with my pain and inflammation, help me with my anxiety to keep me calm, but also to uplift me and help me with my depression as well. And so I call it my magic cream because it's, been like a real magic cure for me in so many ways. And, it's, that's kind of how I started, but it was definitely like, the first cream that I made, it was totally like just like an experiment. It was a project to see how it would turn out, and I was just amazed at the effects.
Well,
and
yeah,
then I started experimenting with different types of oils.
Yeah, just before we went to break, I was really taken aback by the one thing that you did say, that when you applied the cream, you actually watched the swelling go down. You could see the effect as it happened.
Yes.
That must have been quite amazing.
Yeah, it was actually like, it's funny because I mean, all those years that, if I had just gone ahead and experimented with this medical marijuana patient, 12 years before, then perhaps I would have had another way of managing my pain for all these years, But again, it's like things happen when they're meant to happen, and I discovered it when I needed it actually the most. And it's been, like I said, it's just been an amazing thing. And it's from there, like looking at just different things I could do. Like one of the other things that really amazed me with the first batch of cream I made, my youngest daughter came home. She was burned by a pot of hot coffee at Starbucks. And she came in, and they had put like topical cooling gel on her arm, but it's a gel and it doesn't penetrate all the way through. And this is a pretty severe burn. And when she came in the door, she was screaming. She was in so much pain. And she kept saying it feels like it's burning from the inside. And again, just out of necessity, I went, okay, let's see if this works. And I rubbed it on her, rubbed it all down her arm. And she said it brought the pain from like a 9 down to a 2 in a couple of minutes. Like it was an instant relief for her. And by at the end of the day, like there wasn't even a mark. There was no evidence that she'd even been burned. And that was the other thing that really, like, it totally inspired me to be like, I really want to find out as much as I can about what this plant can do when you put it on the skin. And it's been amazing, some of the results I've had.
Yeah, a truly amazing plant. The more I find out about it, the more I am still astonished myself at what I continue to learn, that this wonderful plant is good at dealing with. More and more things pop up all the time. It's truly astounding. The creams that you make, and on your blog, I'm looking at your website, and I'm really impressed with the basic recipes and how easy they are to go through. I mean, I have experienced and watched a lot of recipe videos dealing with cannabis, as I'm sure most of us out there have. when you're learning to make anything, whether it's an edible or a cream or whatever it is that's going to be cannabis infused, there's 1,000 recipes for whatever that particular thing is. 90% of them will fail. Yours is quite impressive. I like the simplicity of it, and they're going to work.
And well, talking about working, I believe Charlene, you won a cup at the Karma Cup. You won.
Yes, I won second place topicals in the Karma Cup. I was really excited. I was so shocked, actually. I didn't expect to actually win anything. I just I wanted to enter. It was the first experience I'd ever had in competing, and I was absolutely shocked when Sarah looked at me. It was like, Charlene Freedom, second place. I was like, oh my god. So, it was pretty exciting.
Big boys now, second place. That's a big cup for the Karma Cup. That's an awesome showing for sure.
Yeah. There was a Karma Cup. The samples for the judges were massive. Large.
Thank you. So it was really exciting for me.
That's very good. Charlene, when it comes to creams, some people might be thinking creams, lotions, they're all the same. But there is a difference, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What you put into a cream as a base, what type of wax you use is also a huge thing. As I mentioned briefly when we were speaking earlier, one of the things I discovered when I first started researching is there's a lot of creams that are being made by people, a lot of recipes that you find online, and they're all made with beeswax. And beeswax doesn't penetrate into the second layer of skin, the dermis. It only penetrates really into the epidermis, which is the first layer. So that was one of the things I was really confused by that, actually, because beeswax is something that's meant to be used for like a balm, a lip balm, ointment. It's meant for anything that's that's a protective layer that you need. So it's good for things like cuts, wounds, burns, bites, rashes, anything, like I said, anything you need a protective covering for.
Right, so just surface. Yeah, your surface stuff, right? Nothing that's going to penetrate.
Yeah, and that's the thing is with the beeswax, it won't carry the essential oils into the bloodstream as well as the cannabis oil, the properties from the cannabis oil. Not to say that it won't get absorbed at least a little bit, but it won't have the same effectiveness as if you're trying to carry that into the bloodstream, into the muscles, in through, and actually penetrate. So that's one of the things many people comment when they try my creams, is there's no greasy residue. It absorbs immediately, and they can feel it. They can feel the effect of it working immediately.
Because I use a cream every day, just as most women do, any kind of a cream. We all lotion up and stuff. But we all know that, as females anyways, that if you feel it on your skin after, that means it didn't soak in.
Yes.
Yeah. And people who are trying to get it to soak, the guy was asked by a cancer patient, and they're dealing with cancer on an organ on the inside, and they want to know about, if they made a cream or a rub, a lotion, whether they rubbed it on their skin, would that go in and penetrate that organ? But as you mentioned, there's so many different variables. Some of the things that people put into it won't allow it to go so far.
Yeah, another thing is if there's things like mineral oil added to it, which is another thing that sometimes you'll find. That also will block the effectiveness as well. It just doesn't absorb into the skin properly. So that's another thing, is what you're using definitely has an effect. So one of the things I teach in my classes is, I have a class that's just dedicated to cannabis balms and body butters. Another class that's just for creams, and the first class is for infusions. And that's where I kind of break it down. It's showing people the difference of, like, this is what, you can use body butters or salves for, as opposed to a balm or a lip balm. And then people go, oh, I see, okay. That's why whenever I buy these cream, it leaves like a greasy residue on my skin. And that's for cannabis, you really don't want to do that because then it's just a waste of money.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
You've got to learn how to use it. It's good to have a go-to spot to find out which one to use for which element.
That's right, exactly. Well, let's learn a little bit more after break when we get back. How's that?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Sounds good.
In the meantime, we're going to hear a little bit of our music from the Killing Time Band. And that's the song Hippie Girl. I look at Charlene's picture and I'm thinking, looks like I might have picked the right song. and let's see. You're listening to the Pace Radio Show here at lifestyleradio.ca. See you in a minute. Let's see. You're listening to the Pace Radio Show here at lifestyleradio.ca.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
After the show, man, we headed out to the parking lot. Lots of folks sitting around getting way messed up. This thing got crazy, man, and I had to split. Lost my mind, jumped in a ride. We drove down further, man, south past the grotto. Town to town, we went to Colorado. We found another show and scored ourselves some tickets. Met some girls, man, and now it's time to take it.
Growing your own vegetables, flowers, or even medicinal plants can be a challenge without the right equipment and proper know-how. At BMA Hydroponics, not only are they your urban horticultural experts and suppliers, but their staff holds the customer's needs paramount to making a sale. Family-owned with decades of experience and knowledge, they offer free advice in person, by phone, or email. BMA Hydroponics wants to ensure you have the advice you need, which is why you'll find tips and tricks on different ways to grow, like wick, ebb and flow, drip, or aeroponic system, as well as other helpful links at bmahydroponics.com. If you can't find what you're looking for, just let them know, and they'll do everything they can to get what you're looking for. At BMA Hydroponics, each staff member also possesses a federal exemptee MMAR license, making their strong suit empathy, experience, and dedication to their customers. Because when you know how to grow, you'll have results that make you proud. BMA Hydroponics in Belleville, Ontario. Visit bmahydroponics.com.
BMA offers cannabinoid testing, so if you want to prove you've got good medicine, head to BMA Hydroponics and prove it.
The National Task Force on Medicinal Cannabis is a group of not-for-profit organizations dedicated to influencing government policy with factual evidence. Our mission is to ensure that a constitutional medical program is developed that will address the concerns of all Canadians that require therapeutic cannabis. The task force is looking for dedicated people who are willing to contribute to our cause. We have formed this task force to foster a unified approach and focus on lobbying the federal government and Health Canada. We represent the combined expertise of thousands of patients with more than a decade of experience. As a task force participant, you, your business, or your group will have an opportunity to show that you care and offer your unique skills to promote the cause. If you would like to get involved, go to medcanataskforce.org. That's medcanataskforce.org and use the Contact Us link to get started. Help us help you.
Tune into the Pace Radio Show and catch Kim Cooper, Debbie Stoll-Skiffen, or Alison Merlin, along with myself, Al Graham, as we talk to Canadian and international cannabis advocates who are working hard to help patients and to end cannabis prohibition. Catch us live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here at lifestyleradio.ca.
Canada, the time to act is now. These days, your customers are seeking variety. Increase your earning potential by expanding your inventory with CC Nexus, Canada's largest cannabis seed wholesaler. CC Nexus stocks over 60 reputable breeders, including Canuck seeds, with a wealth of autoflower, regular, feminized, and CBD strains. All first-time customers will receive a free pack of Canuck seeds, plus a mug, t-shirt, and additional promotional materials. Add strains and increase your profit with CC Nexus, your Canadian-owned and operated wholesaler of cannabis seeds. Discreet, worldwide stealth shipping from Canada, supporting you locally. Call today, 1-844-843-7995, 1-844-843-7995, or visit us at ccnexus.global.
Welcome back, and thanks for tuning in to the Pace Radio Show. I'm just tripping to that music. That was pretty good. We are being broadcasted live at lifestyleradio.ca, plus you can catch us at Shoutcast, TuneIn Radio, and Spreaker. We're live at those places too. Tonight's that great bumper music was by the Ontario-based band known as the Killing Time Band, very well known in the cannabis community. Tonight's song was Hippie Girl. And if you enjoyed that song, you want to hear more of the... Yes, it was. And they got lots of other stuff, too, man. It's just fantastic. Like I say, go to their website, killingtimeband.com, and get their music there. Kim, today we're joined by Certified Natural Health Practitioner and Cannabis Infusion Expert, that's what I like to call her, Charlene Freedom. Well, Charlene, we're into the last segment. We'll just keep going until we run out of things to say.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
When we went on break, just before we went on break, we were discussing how cannabis and creams, not even just cannabis creams, but creams in general, can penetrate different levels of your epidermis, your skin, and how there's different uses for different types of creams. And depending on what your ailment is, if you're not using the right base for your cannabis infusion, it may or may not work. You want to tell us some more about that? So you have various classes that are split up into different levels that teach people what you're looking for. So do they come to you and they say, okay, this is what's wrong with me? And do you say, okay, this is the cream and here's the class?
No, generally, it's like a class series that I have set up. So the first class is called Cannabis Infusions, Tinctures, and Teas. And I cover basically how to infuse into oil, how to make your own tinctures with vegetable glycerin, and how to use both those mediums as teas or to use them in coffees or smoothies or whatever. And then the second class is using the oil that we made in the first class to make cannabis cream. And then in the third class, we make cannabis balm and body butter, which is really actually a salve. And yeah, I mean, people really have been enjoying it because it gives them the base for making all kinds of different products. So in the first class, they go home with a little bit of oil, just enough for them to go home and make a batch of cookies with, or if they want to use it in topicals, they can do that. They also go home with a little bit of tincture as well, and again, I kind of teach people how to use it if they want to use it in teas or coffees, or to dose on a daily, if you're just using it as straight droppers. And,
yeah, I just got something just happened here. This has never happened to me before. I just got a Facebook question. That's funny.
Oh, okay.
I just got a Facebook question. Somebody just asked me what is the difference between a salve, balm, and a cream?
Good question.
What is the difference between the salve, a balm, and a cream? Okay, well, a cream is usually is made with water. That's one of the primary differences between a cream and a balm. And on top of that, it's also generally the wax that's used in a cream is a different type of wax. The wax I use actually comes from coconuts, and so it's a vegetable emulsifier. And a balm, on the other hand, is it's meant to be, as I said, for creating a protective layer on the skin for things like wounds, burns, cuts, bites, and so it has beeswax, so it's meant to be like a thick ointment, basically. And a salve, on the other hand, is generally made from like a shea or a cocoa butter, or sometimes both, and can also have different, herbs or different things infused into the oils as well. And salves are really, really good for things like psoriasis and eczema. Creams don't necessarily work very well for psoriasis and eczema. And balms don't really allow the skin that's already scaly and flaking to breathe. So salves are actually, that's what it's best for. But salves can also be used, again, for wound healing, burns, bites, any kind of topical skin issues. Rashes is another one it can be used for as well. So those are the primary differences. It's for what they're used for.
Okay, well, there you go. I hope that answers your question. I've been asked, don't
I hope so too.
on the radio. Okay, I won't say your name on the radio.
I received a text during a show once with questions.
Oh, that's cool. Very cool. Well, good to hear somebody listening out there. So that's nice.
Now, Charlene, when it comes to, you mentioned the beeswax isn't good for something that you're looking to absorb deep into the skin. Would the cocoa butter be good for something like that, or is there something else?
Cocoa butter in a cream?
Well, what I'm looking is for something that would penetrate to go in deep.
Yeah, which one of them do you use for deep penetration?
Well, with the thing with cocoa butter is it will totally absorb into the skin, and it does penetrate. It's just at a much slower rate of absorption as opposed to a cream. It's one of the other things that cocoa butter is great for is moisturizing the skin. It also offers a level of SPF naturally, so it has the ability to protect you from the skin. From the sun, I mean. And it will also help to heal your skin if you do get burned as well.
Okay, so the cream is better for the deep penetration then if you're looking for something that's going to get right into your bone really fast.
Yeah, that's where you want to go for a cream as opposed to a balm or a body butter or a salve because creams will absorb fairly quickly. And they just carry everything right into the bloodstream and into the tissues, into the muscles. And it's just really effective that way, as opposed to even massage oil is something that will penetrate quite deeply as well. But again, it can sometimes take a little bit longer. And I found personally that the cream actually works the best.
Okay, what do you use for your base cream?
For my base cream? I make it from it's copola wax or another wax that I use, the coconut wax. And as I said, it comes from coconut, so it's a vegetable-based emulsifier. Oh. And I also use cocoa butter. I also use fractionated coconut oil. Infused coconut oil. I also add rose water in as well because rose water is an excellent carrier to help the essential oils go in as well. And so that's sort of the base cream. It's a mix of rose water, distilled water, wax, oil, and butter.
Cool. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, your first class we talked about just very briefly. We've talked a lot about the creams because it is such so many people want information on this now. The topical market is booming. More and more people are interested in alternative methods to smoking, and topicals and creams are definitely big business right now, and many people are want them. Another thing a lot of people are very much interested in these days is the tincture. I'm interested in the first class that you teach, and that is basically the extractions, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, so I teach how to infuse into coconut oil, but I also teach how to infuse into vegetable glycerin to make tincture. For me personally, I'm not a big fan of alcohol and cannabis being combined. And because of my past history, when I went to go, if I'm going to take something internally, I don't want it to be combined with alcohol personally. And vegetable glycerin is actually very sweet. So when you infuse cannabis into it, it actually tastes a lot like a cannabis honey. And my clients love it. And it's really easy to absorb. And it helps with so many things from insomnia to nausea, vertigo, chronic pain, acute pain, just so many different digestive issues. And so that's also been a really successful thing as well to introduce as an alternative to an alcohol-based tincture because a lot of people complain they don't like the taste of them. and they burned. So I'm really happy to be able to offer another alternative way to make a tincture, and it's been going really well.
So all your classes, are they done hands-on, or have you started offering anything like online classes, or is it all in person?
It's all in person. Right now I haven't done anything online, although I'm looking into that because there's been so much requests for it over the last couple of years, and so it's just sort of kind of getting things set up to actually be able to do it. But I'm hoping actually for the classes in January that I may be able to actually offer it like a webinar, so that while I'm teaching the class to whoever's in the class, people can also, check in as well through a webinar. I just have to get that figured out.
Yeah. I mean, they're doing it in the colleges now to teach for any course that you take in a college in Northern Ontario. You're basically sitting in a classroom with 2 or 3 other people and looking at a video screen, and the teacher is elsewhere teaching from 7 different locations throughout Northern Ontario, because that's how widespread our classes are up here. So, I mean, it's being done everywhere, and it would be wonderful to see somebody as educated as yourself be able to teach the masses, so to speak.
Yeah, I'd love to do that. Another project I've been working on actually is also creating a book to be able to give out to people as well, because I find that when I'm doing the classes, there's so much spoken information that doesn't make it into the notes, and that's where a lot of people who've taken the classes, have kind of come away and said, I wish I had all this other information sort of written down. And so I really see how, from what I've got for notes in the classes, like how much more information, everything from the different types of oils that can be used, different types of carrier oils, as kind of like as a how-to guide. And so that's another idea I've been working on as well. And I'm hoping that I'll be able to launch that in the new year.
Excellent.
And yeah, I'd love to be able to get online too.
Yeah. Well, I know if you do wind up launching an online class, please contact me ASAP, because I'm extremely interested in this. I've carried recipes on the different websites that I operate for people to make different homemade remedies and stuff. And I appreciate people's feedback on many of them that I carry, because I have not personally tried any of the recipes myself. I'm not one that has been doing that. I haven't entered that avenue for cannabis at all. I haven't extracted or very much. I've begun doing it recently, and I find it very frustrating trying to follow some of the recipes that are out there. And I have found myself losing large quantities of product that, again, it winds up getting quite costly.
Yeah, I know it's a difficult process. That's why I'm glad that I'm able to offer the classes to people, because again, even for me, when I was first researching it, I went on YouTube and I found a lot of really bad videos. So I really hope to be able to actually get an online class together and be able to get more information out to people.
Your rates for your last class that you just had in October, they all look reasonable here on your website,
Very, very much so. Yeah.
I also see, like, we've talked about creams and lotions and stuff like that. I see you got some pictures of some stuff here on your site. So what all do you make, as far as, I guess, to offer, unless these are personal labels?
For like what other products do I make?
Yes, yeah.
Give us a product rundown.
I've actually had a lot of different successes with different products. A couple of my best sellers are actually I make bath salts infused with cannabis oil and with my pain blend. So the bath salts are really successful. People really love them because you get into the bath and it just totally relaxes you, and it helps deal with your pain and inflammation. It helps your mood. So that's another one that's really successful. I make canna balms. I make massage oils. I also make canna lube. On top of that, one of the main projects I've been working on for developing actually is cannabis suppositories. for PMS and menstrual-related problems. And I kind of did sort of like an experiment, sort of a test out to see how some of the women, if it would work, sort of a curious, I want to see if this is something that might actually help. And I had a student who came through who was suffering really bad from endometriosis and asked me, she'd heard about the Euphoria suppository, cannabis tampons, and so she was curious to see if it would help her endometriosis, and that was actually what got me into making them. And I was amazed at the feedback. I was just amazed at the effect that so many women have come back and said, like, this has been such a game changer. So I've been recently, like, really developing.
I've heard a lot of really great things about these things. I've heard a lot of really great things about these vaginal suppositories from a lot of women that suffer from a lot of problems. I think even Whoopi Goldberg has her own line of these things as well. Vaginal suppositories are really becoming more mainstream all the time. There's more and more information coming out about them, and they're becoming more widely accepted as an alternative pain relief for sure. I have a question that actually just popped into my head that I got from somebody a while ago, and I didn't know the answer. And you are the perfect person to ask. What is the difference between a vaginal suppository and a rectal suppository? What are they? Are they interchangeable, or are they made from different properties?
Well, if you're dealing with pharmaceuticals, then the bases are generally the same. The suppositories that I make are the base of cocoa butter, so they're available. You can use them both rectally and vaginally. They're interchangeable completely.
Okay, so that would probably hold true for any cannabis suppository that would be on the market then, would it not?
Yeah. Like the difference I would say from making my suppositories would be, like right now, as I said, I'm focusing on developing this specifically for PMS, endometriosis, menstrual cramp, but also for other gynecological conditions. One patient that I've had actually was dealing with like cervical cancer, but like not actual full blown, sort of like the stage 3 before it actually turns to cancer. And this is probably one of the most interesting cases I've had. And she didn't do anything different, and she has to go for regular PAPs every couple of months. And she said that from one PAP to the next over a 3-month period, she was using the suppositories once a week, only one. And then when she went back in for the next PAP, her cell changes dropped from being at high down to low grade. And so that's another thing that I was really amazed by. I was not expecting that at all. So right now, so that's why I'm really sort of focusing on that development. But at the same time, when I was first testing them out, one of the friends that I had that was sort of around was a guy, and he would use them, and he was dealing with like some really severe hemorrhoids and digestive issues and whatnot. And so even though they were designed for vaginal reasons, he was using them for that, and it totally healed his hemorrhoids completely. So it's been kind of amazing. Like, so I plan on doing more development into the anal side of it as well, rectal, and for digestive issues and things like Crohn's and colitis and whatnot.
Okay, so as far as using it either way, you can. It's not going to make any difference really, but it sounds like it's basically strain related. You're trying to get a strain that is geared directly to problems that women would occur for vaginal suppositories, whereas for rectal suppositories, you would try and find a strain. If you're using it for cancer, then you would find a strain geared for cancer to make that suppository. But you can use them
the other thing is that the essential oils that I would use for a rectal suppository would likely be very different. And again, it would also depend on what condition I'm treating. If it's something like cancer, or if it's, Crohn's, or if it's, chronic diarrhea, depending on what it might be, constipation. So that's the other thing is when you're dealing with trying to develop a product that's sort of across the board, and you're working with aromatherapy, you kind of want to try and get a couple of different oils that will work for sort of everything that you want to target. And so that's another primary difference, at least in the suppositories I'm making, is because of the essential oils that are added into the base, basically.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about these days is alternative delivery methods, getting away from people having to consume via smoking or vaping. People are looking for other ways to get the medication to the ailment without going that route.
Yeah, we find that down at the flea market every weekend. We're down there. Somebody will ask us questions, and they ask that, do I have to smoke? Or they tell us that they don't like to smoke, or when they tried and they smoked, they didn't like it. Or as we saw with this as our news item today, having the alternative choices is great.
Yeah. So alternative ways to get the cannabinoids to the problem. The cannabinoids are fixing the problem. Let's find a way to get them there without causing toxicity to our systems and interfering with other functions.
Mm-hmm. And
the other thing that's really great about suppositories, depending on what conditions you're dealing with, particularly with rectal suppositories, is if you're dealing with something like somebody's got stomach cancer or has any kind of major digestive issues where ingesting is an issue, or ingesting large amounts is an issue. Quite often, when you go up through the rectum, a person is actually able to absorb without having a lot of the side effects of, if they get nauseous or like careening out, for example. You can actually add a lot more, much higher dose into a rectal suppository than you could if you were giving somebody a cookie, for example.
Yeah.
So that's another interesting thing. It's another alternative way to medicate at high doses.
Yeah. You're the second guest we've had on, I think, in the last few months, where we've discussed cannabis delivery methods via suppository with Captain Dave. We did as well, right?
Yeah, we did. We talked about him about it, and he said the same thing. And I hear that in other places as well, about the success and the effects of doing it that way. To some people, they would look at it as might think it's dirty or whatever, but it's medication. It works and it's effective. And if that's the best way to administer it, then so be.
Yeah, well, Preparation H has made a fortune off of our butts for years. What's the difference?
And it doesn't really work either.
Talking about those, is cannabis creams help at all? I guess with the hemorrhoid issue, being that we're there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've had I have a couple of clients that have dealt with like really severe hemorrhoids, and as I was saying, this one client. It was actually a friend of mine. He was dealing with really severe hemorrhoids to the point that it was almost like looking at having to go for surgery. And he was using them, and the hemorrhoids like completely disappeared. And he was suffering for a long time with it. So, it definitely helps all of those conditions as well.
It's just amazing, just simply amazing. And you must almost feel like you've come full circle with your first initiative to educate yourself and get back on your feet and go back to school. You chose, your aromatherapy class. You get approached about a cannabis recipe, and it gets quickly shuffled away. And here you are all these years later, developing cannabis recipes.
Yep. Yeah, actually, it's kind of funny because when I did finally discover the cream, I contacted that client who ended up actually becoming a friend of mine, and I hadn't spoken to him in about 5 or 6 years at least, and just contacted him and said, "Oh my God, I had no idea. Why weren't you more like aggressive about it?" And he was like, "Well, you weren't interested at the time, but this is amazing. Like, this is awesome. I'm so happy for you." So yeah, it for me, it really does feel like I kind of came full circle, and it's been an amazing experience to be able to teach. It's something that I never, ever thought that all the years that I was, that I've used cannabis, that I would be able to take some of my experiences and actually, use it and share it in a medical way or in a holistic way. and have people hiring me for it, or having doctors call me, for example. Like, I've had doctors calling me, asking me questions because they don't have enough information about it and they don't know. And so they're like, well, what do we do? Can you help this? Can you help that? And so that for me was, to go from, for so many years of trying to sell any doctor that I was using cannabis and them treating me like I was just still a junkie, to the total reverse has been really amazing.
Validation.
Yeah, that's right. Doctors are calling you now. That's
validation.
Yeah, exactly. I see here, I'm sitting here on your website, Charlene, and I see you, like, we've been talking about you being a natural health practitioner, but I also see you deal with massage and reflexology and other things along that line.
Yeah, all kinds of holistic stuff going on.
I used to do massage and reflexology. That's actually one thing with my accident. That was one of the things I had to accept, that I had to professionally give that up. Yeah. Because I just can't do it anymore. My injuries were just too expensive, and the truth be told, like, I need more massage, and it's just something I just couldn't do it. So I had to stop and put that aside, and that's actually where I found that going into the cream making and the product making, when I went to school, it's kind of interesting. When I came out, I had no interest in doing product making other than for like friends and family, basically. And I would do, make creams and whatnot for the odd client here and there, but generally I wasn't really that interested. I was really interested in massage, reflexology, healing, and I was really, really, really good at it too. Mm-hmm. So it was a difficult transition for me to let that go. And when I picked up the product making, it was something that was like, oh wow, so here's another whole aspect of my education and my craft that I get to explore now, and it was really good for me. It was one thing that really helped to motivate me to want to actually recover from this accident and try and help others, especially with what I had learned.
Now you've mentioned, and I've read about aromatherapy. Just out of curiosity, cannabis and aromatherapy, is that something that go together, or is that something, as far as aromatherapy, it would be all different kinds of herbs?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm sure you've heard about people are using THC distillates and they're using terpenes with them, and that's what essential oils are. I picture in my head, are people putting buds in there, or?
Yeah, well, we were talking about the distillates and the terpenes, and we had Flavor Savers on, and they're going the terpene route now, and they're talking about using it in aromatherapy with terpenes. Are you doing the similar thing?
No. I haven't been doing that. That's getting to another level of science and stuff that I'm not really interested in personally, but essentially terpenes are, they're part of the aromatic compounds and that are part of essential oils as well. So they, excuse me, they totally go hand in hand together. The interesting thing was kind of figuring out the properties of cannabis combined with different properties of different plants and essential oils and what kind of works best together. And the only thing that I found when it came to essential oils and cannabis oil that really didn't work was this one oil called Palmarosa. And I found it made anything that I made with it, by adding the Palmarosa, it just made it smell like catnip. And I personally, I'm not a big fan of the smell of catnip, so it just was something that just smelled awful. But I found pretty much any oils that you can, any aromatherapy oils that you can find, generally it will combine with cannabis and smell really nice.
Interesting. Very interesting stuff. Yeah, the whole terpene thing, that's beyond my level as well.
Yeah, some of these shows lately, I've been, just learning as we go along. It doesn't matter how long you've been involved in this, whether it's 15 years, 20 years, or just last week, there's always something new to learn. I had never heard of distillates until someone mentioned it on the radio show.
Yeah, I think that was at the Hemp Fest on the 420 Radio Roadshow.
And I believe a part of it is where you're located too. I'm in a small rural town. There's not a lot of that stuff going on here, right?
Yeah,
So.
yeah, I hear you there, Al. Pretty isolated way up here too, Al. I get that loud and clear.
So do you find, Charlene, like when people contact you, that there are people who, maybe would be on the older age?
I'd actually say about probably about 65% of my client base is senior citizens.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, that's what they're interested in. They were interested. Oh, it's a cream. I can rub it on and I won't get high. Oh, okay. Let me have some of that.
Yeah. Because so many people do sort of look at them as being against cannabis because they're older, but those older people now were the people of the 60s, and they know, and they want that option, and why not? And it's only been cannabis prohibition that has prevented everybody from figuring it all out.
And that's what I like to come back and remind people all the time when they say, well, old people aren't into it. I said, well, you know what? Old people, it depends on what your version of old people is. People have to remember, Ozzy Osbourne is 71.
Yes, so true.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is, most of my, again, a lot of my clients are senior citizens, and a lot of them are not interested in smoking cannabis. So I find the two most successful things with senior citizens tends to be the tinctures and the creams. And if they're able to get into the bathtub, they really, really like the bath salts as well. So I mean, that's the thing. They want the relief, they want the pain relief. They don't necessarily want the psychoactive effects. And discovering that, oh, you can put it in a cream and it won't get me high. Oh, okay, yeah, let me try it. And I have one client now who's like about 90 years old and lives up in Sudbury area and orders my cream for me from all the way up there.
Oh, that's in my neck of the woods. That's my area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's somebody in the 90s. That's fantastic because they were probably around when it was legally to be used as a medicine.
That's right. That's right. They've seen prohibition from beginning to end, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. Well, it's interesting also some of the clients I've had that are immigrants and they come from other countries that cannabis is used there, and and they don't understand some of why there's this big hoopla of prohibition. They're just like, it's something that we use at home. Like, what's the big deal? So, and even actually I was speaking to one client a couple of days ago, and she was telling me over in Europe, for example, that it's actually like a lot higher use for things like cannabis topicals amongst senior citizens than anything else, like as opposed to cookies or tinctures or smoking. So I think that's something we'll see more and more senior citizens wanting to use it in alternative ways.
Yeah. And I would be interested to know too, and I would think that once they've tried it in these alternative ways and they see how well the creams work, they would want to become more educated on other things it may help with.
Oh, absolutely. My mom is a really great example. My mom was a emergency room nurse in the 60s in St. Mike's Hospital in downtown Toronto. So she was there when like LSD hit the streets, during the hippie movement, and she dealt with a lot of overdoses. And her, experience with, introduction into cannabis wasn't necessarily a positive one, coming from like being an emergency room nurse, right? So my mom's a nurse for years and years, and she never, ever approved of me using cannabis at any point. And then, I mean, the day came that she was able to finally say, like, this is something that helps my daughter. She's been clean now for many years. It's what worked for her, and she was able to concede on that, but she would never use it. But I gave her some of the cream shortly after I made it, And my mom actually called me, and she had just gone for a kidney stone surgery. And the doctor sent her home with Tylenol-3. And she called me to say, you know, like, this didn't touch my pain, Charlene. Like, it wasn't doing anything. And out of desperation, I'll just try some of Charlene's pot cream. And she said she rubbed it on, and it was so effective for reducing the pain and inflammation that within an hour, she was in her car driving to the store. Whereas before she put the cream on, she could barely even get off the couch. So she called me and said, Charlene, you know what? Like, you've tapped into something here. In 45 years of nursing, I've never seen anything work that well. So follow it. And my mom's actually now one of my biggest cheerleaders, to be honest. She's one of my biggest supporters. And again, if you told me that, you know, 15 years ago that would be the case, like, I never would have believed it. And so now my mom's going around, she's educating senior citizens, oh, my daughter makes this cream.
Amazing,
I never expected that.
Wonderful, wonderful story. It's amazing when to have parental support like that and to turn somebody around like in a 360.
I just wrote a note down here, and I look at this as a success story because of the fact that you talked about your opiate issues at the beginning of the show, and now here you are making things available for patients and helping them, you know, with a better quality of life.
Yep, absolutely.
Absolutely.
You are a true success story, Charlene. I congratulate you 100%. I salute your efforts to date, and I wish you so much success in your future. I see big things in your future. You're doing great things, and many patients are very, very much happy for it and in a better place, thanks to you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Charlene, we're getting pretty close to the end of the show. Have you got anything that we haven't discussed that you'd like to bring up before we get into the shout out and all the other stuff?
No, I'm drawing a blank right now.
Okay, because, you know, there's always, you know, there could be something that you wanted to bring up and we missed it, and we'd like to make sure that you've got time to cover, you know, the things as well that you know, you wanted to talk about. So, okay.
Anything on the plate coming up, Charlene, in the near future?
I'm sorry?
Anything on the plate coming up in the near future?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to be at the Holiday Green Market in Toronto that's coming up on December 11th. And I'm also going to be teaching a workshop in Hamilton on December 10th, which is my cannabis topicals. It's more like an introduction to cannabis topicals. I do like a little mini demo, and I talk a great deal about the different products, how they're used, and a little bit about my story. And in January, I'm going to be doing another series at Anari's Natural Health Apothecary, which is the storefront that I host my class series in. And and I'm going to Jamaica next week to have some fun.
Wonderful.
Yes, I hear. We'll get into any else along that. We can talk off the air. Okay, have you got a website that you could we can direct people to?
Yeah, it's charlenefreedom.com. I'm also on Facebook as well. You can add me as a friend on Facebook.
About anything else like Twitter, Instagram?
No, I'm not a big social media person, but I am very active on my Facebook, though.
Well, hey, that means you're too busy dealing with helping patients and making better creams and lotions. Doing
That's
more.
right.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, have you got a shout out that you would like to, you know, promote somebody, or, you know, was your website fine, or is there somebody that you know, you want to throw a big thank you to?
Well, I would really like to, you know, do a shout out for the Green Market in Toronto, and for the next upcoming event on December 11th. It's just been an amazing event to see. I was at the very first Green Market in Toronto. It started back in the spring, and it's just been amazing to see this event grow. in such a short time, and it's been a real joy to be a part of it. And it looks like it's going to be a really excellent event coming up on December 11th, and I'm going to be there vending with my products and handing out my flyers to my classes and talking to everybody that I can. So,
I might have to get down there and talk to the ladies about doing a live show down there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that'd be fantastic.
I always see them promoted and advertised. The timing's part of the problem is the timing, and right now the health. But I'd love to get down there and be able to do a show and help promote those people, because they're doing this to help others. And from my understanding, it got started partially because of the raids. Patients are still getting access to some of the products that they no longer can at the club. So this is just another venue for that. So it's patients helping patients again.
Well, it's been really kind of neat because it's just a real grassroots kind of event, and people that are have been working in the industry, but there's never been anywhere to actually do something like this, and to kind of have it as an open event for people to, here's an edibles market. You can come in, you can buy creams, you can do all these, check out all the different people that are starting up businesses, and
pop-up
I've met so
markets,
many amazing people.
Pop-up markets are very popular these days.
I do have one question before we wrap things up. It's just come to my head, because we're talking about the clubs, and the Project Claudia came down on everybody over the food items not being properly labeled, so on and so forth. Have you seen any of that when it comes to your type of product, the creams and the lotions?
Have I seen?
Have you seen any? Where they're sort of bad mouthing the creams and lotions that they are
confiscating.
Yeah, by saying that.
Well, they've been during the Project Claudia. I mean, I know they confiscated all the topicals that in all the locations that they've been raiding. But I haven't heard of any of the producers of topicals having any issues. I know for me, what I was kind of told was that, I'm just a small fish. And, I generally only deal with medical patients as well. But it's more like people that have companies that have topicals in all the dispensaries across the country, really, that I think are having issues. But I haven't heard of anything specific.
Big fish grow. Big fish grow.
That's right.
That's right. Okay, Charlene, it's been great talking to you tonight. We'd love to have you back on the show again in the future to talk about some of the new stuff that you've probably come up with, and your classes again, and so much more. We look forward to meeting you hopefully at one of these green markets.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me on the show. It's been a pleasure.
It's great to have you on. And part of our lead-in song talks about people aren't speaking up, and it's great when we have patients like yourself that come on and speak up and tell their story. And like I said earlier, you've got a successful one for sure. So.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, this is just a reminder to let everybody know that I will be live again next Wednesday with my joint host, Debbie Stoltz-Giffen, and her special guest. Debbie just attended a wellness fair, so it'll be interesting to see how Mum made out down there. And that's Mum is in Maritimers United for medical marijuana. Deb's not my mum. I ordered one of the new T-shirts. I love Mum.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I ordered one of those, so I'll have it here shortly, and I'll have to take a picture, get it online. So, let's see. I got to tell everybody that you can find our radio show on Facebook and Twitter. We're at Pace Radio. We're on the web at pace-online.ca, and don't forget to send us a message from our website to let us know that you want some free stuff. We'll put your name in a hat, and hopefully your name gets drawn. And I can report that I have received some names tonight, so that's good to know. And our thank yous, as always, go out to our sponsors, Ross and Deb at BMA Hydroponics. It's BMAhydroponics.com. The people at CC Nexus, Canada's cannabis seed wholesaler, they're at ccnexus.global. As always, our man behind the baggie, our producer, Al Rapp, we couldn't do it without him. And thank you to you, Charlene, certified nurse practitioner, cannabis infusion expert. It was great to have you on the program and to talk to our listeners. And to our joint host, Kim Cooper. Kim, as always, thank you very much for everything you do. I know you've been busy at a few other things, fighting for some water for some people, so it's good.
Yeah, it's been a busy week. I protested yesterday for the water protectors in Standing Rock, so that's my shout out for tonight. And I thank everybody for tuning in tonight with our wonderful guest, Charlene Freedom.
That's right. Thank you very much for that. It's a good thing you remembered. Kim didn't get a shout out. Shit. All right. Okay. And actually, a big shout out to all our listeners. We really appreciate you listening and sharing our shows. It's without you, there wouldn't be a show. So thank you for everything you do. And good night.
Good night.
So what are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing? Why not?
Trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're